platforms. So I'll be anchoring this session.
How can I allow someone share screen? Can I allow him?
So I'm anchoring this session to describe how our payment gateway works today. So I'll be sharing my screen in some minutes. About if you have any questions. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to connect. Just a sec.
All right.
Just a sec. Guys, just give me some. Let me join. Just hold on. I'll end the call and I'll join. Yes.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we just give Chigozie some minutes. He's having some technical issues and he's just trying to sort that out. So let's just give him a minute. But in the meantime, I'm going to put a link to our developer console in the chat and also a link for you to join our community if you haven't. So with our developer tools, you can just access all of our APIs, SDKs, and documentations from one dashboard. And then the community is, well, simply to help you get more comfortable using Interswitch APIs, and then to also offer support for everyone or anyone who is using any of our services. So I'm just going to put that in the chat while we wait for Chigozie to just come back or join the call. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Okay, so the first link is in the chat, and I'm going to be sharing the second right away. Yeah, and the second is here. So you can just explore or go through the links while we wait for Chigozie to be back. Just a minute. Let me make sure he has everything he needs. Okay, sorry everyone. Just some technical issues. He will join us soon. But in the meantime, maybe we can just have a little chat before Chigozie comes back. Has anybody here ever used any of our APIs, whether be it Sphere, its payment APIs, or even IPG, which is a focus for today? Has anybody? You can just put that in the chat. And if you want to talk about your experience, this is why we have office hours. We want to hear from you. We want to know how we can improve and make integration easier and hassle-free for you. Excuse me. So if you've ever used any of our APIs, you can just either raise your hands or you can put it in the chat. And if you'd like to share your experience, we would really, really appreciate that. So that would just help us know problem areas or gaps that we're not seeing or issues that we can fix. Anybody, there's like 38 of us here. I'm sure that at least one person would have used our APIs. Anyone? Does anybody want to share what their experience has been? Anybody? Esther, Gabriel, Ada, Joseph, anybody at all? Waiting. So you can just use the raise hand feature if you want to speak, or you can just type it in the chat box. Anyone at all? Oh, great. So this is everyone's first time. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. So let's go to something else that I heard about today. I think I joined a webinar this morning, and all right, sorry for that. Yeah. So I was talking of a new, I don't think it's new anyways, but I started hearing more about it. People talking about open banking in payments and how this is the next best thing in fintech. I still do not really understand it yet. I know that I made a mental note to spend some time this weekend to understand what's happening and all. But does anybody want to share maybe some insights about what they know about it, what they think about it, or whatever the case may be? So it's just I've heard about it before now, but I think they said CBN passed some sort of regulation and it is now supposed to become a thing. Yeah. Okay. So back to the first. Damilola said use payment API documentation was good, but updates were being done on live. It was a good experience. Thank you so much for that. I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to show it to the team that works on that. Thank you so much, Damilola. Thanks. While we're waiting for Chigozated, has anybody ever heard of that? I know that it's not entirely new per se, but I think if I heard right, that some sort of, it was, should I say, CBN approved or something. I really don't know the details. So I'm hoping to learn more about it. Has anybody on the call heard about it and maybe wants to share insights? You can just raise your hands. We can talk about it briefly while we wait for Chigozated to be back. Let me check if he is back. Um, okay, he's not back yet.
Yes, I'm
Oh,
here. I'm here.
Chigozie is back. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
all
back.
right, Chigozie.
Yes. So
All
sorry,
right,
guys. I had a system glitch. Yes.
all
Yes.
right,
So
fine.
let me proceed. Anyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So these are Interswitch docs that you can basically if you need to do any integration regarding payments, what you basically need to do is it will start from the asset payments API basically. So I know a lot of guys want to do integration with our payment gateway. So basically we'll start with the asset payment docs to see what's obtainable. So this we have this is the overview. Now so today I know a lot of guys that are into JavaScript. With what we have at the moment today, it's easier for you to integrate our payment gateway API. Unlike the previous years where some guys have to struggle with integrating to the payment gateway. But now it's way much more easier as compared to before. Now we have our web checkout page. Now, what we have today is what we have today is we have the web checkout page and it has two routes. We have the inline now, we also have the redirect. The first of all, we basically start with the web checkout. So so for what having a descriptive from the description, our web checkout is a simple way to integrate to checkout feature into our existing products. So our existing products. It's the fastest and easier way to pay online and also basically before you integrate our checkout, our web to our payment gateway. Let me give you a sample of how our payment gateway looks like. So this is a sample of how the payment gateway looks like, right? So when you do a redirect, we have like shows you a list of payment options. Before this happens today, there is an onboarding process. And that onboarding process involves you setting up, we profile you as a merchant on our quick teller business, which is why from the overview, there's a description here when we said quick teller business offers the ability to accept payments on different channels using numerous payment options offered by Interswitch. Before you can have that flexibility of using our payment gateway, it means that we have to onboard you as a merchant on quick teller business. So we have an onboarding platform called quick teller business that gives you that flexibility of setting up. You can set up yourself as a merchant on QTB on quick teller business. When that setup has happened, you do a lot of configuration. And when that is done, it makes it easier for you to plug to our payment gateway. So for payments, and also we have a scenario from the from our quick teller business. When you sign up a quick teller business, we have loads of options for you that you can play around with. And that loads of options afford the ability to even generate something like a payment link. I'll give them an example of how it looks before I proceed to the payment. Let me go through the onboarding process first. So let's see what we have. Just a sec. So this is our onboarding platform. This is our onboarding platform. Before you have that ability to make payments to accept payment on payment gateway, we need to set you up on quick teller business. And when that process is done and you've been approved, then that becomes an easier route for you to do transactions and you get paid as well. So this is our quick teller business. And we have the registration, a self-sign platform, a self-sign registration process, which is this guide. You can register, create an account, provide your KYC details. When that process is done, it follows through some approval from compliance. And when that approval is done, you're good to go. Then you can sign in. So this is sign-in process. Let's say, for instance, I have a default user that I want to sign in with. And during this process, when you're set up, you can actually generate what to call your client ID and secret, your payment gateway details before you'll be given that flexibility to even access the payment gateway. So which is why I'm coming to, instead of going through this route of showing you how it works, I want to show you how to onboard you on the quick teller business, just a brief overview. So let's assume that I'm already set up on quick teller business and I already have my credentials and I want to log in. So you see how that works. So my network is acting up. If you have any questions along the line, you can still ask. Why this is coming up? Why is my network? Okay, this is what I'll do. This guy's taking some time. These are tests. I'll log in our sample URL on UAT on quick teller business. Okay, so this is what I'll do. Okay. So let me continue. I will come back to this guy. I wanted to show us how to set up the payment gateway and enable some payment options on QTB before we come back to explain how this route works. Well, maybe let's continue. I think I'll have to come back to that guy. So first thing, as we mentioned, you have two different payment channels. We have different test credentials that you can use. So we have this guy. So these are test credentials that we can use. So this pay item, I will call it the payable code. So today you can, and this is the merchant code. Before having all of this, you would have been set up on Quick Teller Business. So, so before having these credentials, you would have been set up on Quick Teller Business. So during onboarding, so there's a part where you need to generate your payment gateway. I would have shown you, but this page is acting up. So sorry about that. So it needs to show you how to generate those credentials, and it's easy. It's just a one click and generate those credentials. But what I'll do, since this guy is not, I'll open the production and share with us. Let's see. Yes. Let me show you how it works for example. Okay, it's actually up now. Sorry. Okay, so this is the guy. This guy is up. So this is the UAT URL. Yeah, quick tell merchant UI dot kids.sizable.le slash dot le. So this is how it looks. So now today we have different loads of options that you can play around with. But first things first, for payment gateway integration, we have a settings menu. This is our settings menu. So this settings menu give you flexibility of even before you do that, you're supposed to set up your create your you're supposed to create your payment gateway. It's only when you've created the payment gateway that's when you can see payment options that you can enable per your gateway. So there's a way we can actually identify this gateway. We'll call it payable code. So in this case, we'll have something like pay item ID here. So this guy will see pay item ID here. That's an identifier for your payable for your gateway. This one that you can see here. So it's an identifier for your payment gateway. So that way, with that option, you can actually choose if you have your gateway, you can specify the list of channels that you want to be that wants to be visible on your payment gateway at the point when the customer attempts to pay. So let's say, for instance, I have this is my settings. Let's look up payment channels. So I have multiple gateways here that have been created. I'll show you how to create it. We have multiple gateways that have been created for my merchants. So in this case, I have a merchant with the merchant code called MX1065. During onboarding, this will be created. This will be auto-generated for you. So you have to create, there's a default that will be created as well, because that's where you create your payment gateway and you have these credentials generated for you. Now, and you can actually toggle between test and live mode. Can actually toggle between test and live mode. Then if we're to create, okay, this is the production. So these are samples that have already been created for one of the merchant, but this is the production, a sample that I've created with list of different gateways. For instance, I have different payment options for a specific gateway called banded gateway. And these are the different options. What that means is you can actually enable options per payment gateway. I have all these payment options enabled, but I disabled international payments. Means that when a customer attempts to pay and I share the and I've done my integration to your website, your web application, with that payment gateway that you have, you can only see, you can enable the options that you want to see on the gateway. So if a customer wants to pay, you can say that I want card QR and USSD to be visible on the gateway when the customer attempts to pay. So the customer can only see these different options. So we have that flexibility available on our payment gateway, but that will be done from quick teller business. Now, if I select a different payment gateway, for instance, let's say card only. If you notice, you see that it's only one payment gateway that is enabled for this guy, which is card. It means that if I've integrated to the platform with that gateway, what that means is if a customer wants to pay, it's only cards as an option that will be made available to the customer on the payment gateway when the customer attempts to pay. So we have that flexibility. Now, if you want to create your payment gateway, there's a part of the developers console. So in the developers console, now I want to explain how we generated all of this. Remember, I mentioned that you have to be set up as a merchant of quick teller business. That when that is done, you can generate your payment gateway and you have these options, these credentials generated for you. That way you can use it to integrate on your, do an integration on your website that will route it to our gateway to see the options available. And the option that you want to see on the gateway is also flexible. You can enable based on the options that you want the customers to see. Now, this is how you create the gateway. So we have sample that we've created. If you want to create a new gateway for yourself, for maybe a specific business that needs to be done. So you can come here, create a gateway. You can say add new gateway. You can call the gateway name, specify the currency, whether you're doing that or US dollar. Then you also specify the settlement amount, the accounts that you want to use. Now, for you to be able to even specify the settlement account, because definitely what happens is when you set up, we collect payment on your behalf and we'll set to you during a specific window. So it means that you need to be able to set up your settlement accounts before that will happen. But everything, when you're doing that, you need to set up your gateway, then specify the accounts. This is how we can do that here. You go to developer console. From developer console, go to integration, then you add your gateway. When you add your gateway, it auto-generates when you add it, it auto-generates the client ID and secret for you that you need to use. Then you can copy it out. You can also have your merchant credentials, the merchant code. This pay item code is the payment gateway ID that you can use. Then we have some reference that you can use as well. Then we have also other integrations for API/SDK, the client ID and the client secrets. And those that are doing for POS integration, we have what's called alias so that you can actually use for those that are integrating to POS devices using specific terminals. So we have that here. So we have the webhook option where we can notify you as transactions are happening. So you can come here and specify your webhook URL. So these are samples. So we can do that here as well. Then we'll notify you when transactions are happening. So we'll have that here. So also we also have a way to generate payment links. So today you can decide that you want to make it easier for you to send links to your customers to pay. You can generate like a link for those that are not doing if you're not integrating to the payment gateway, right? You want to generate a link that you can share with customers that if they need to pay, they can use that link, provide the details and go to the gateway. You can actually do that here. So I think I have a sample of some of the options that are available. Let's say for single payment, you can do what we call recurring payment as well. So when you want to be auto debiting the merchant, the customer since the customer has opted for recurring payments, you can create a payment link and specify those options. Let's say, for instance, let me open one of the payment links. Am I too fast?
No, I think it's
I
okay
don't know,
by
guys. Am
me.
I too fast? In case you have any questions.
Well, good. Please go on.
Okay. So if you can come here and create a payment link, you can specify if it's a single payment or a recurring payment. Means that for customers that are opting for recurring payments, or you want to specify generate recurring payments for certain customers. So it's auto debits the customer, the card holder at specific interval, since the customer is opting for recurring payments. So that's now then for single payments, a one-off, you can use that way. So you can come here and create it. When you click on single payment, you can specify the options. Select from your gateway that you've already created the name that you want to call the page. It can be anything. You want to select an image for it, you can select. You want to add a description, add a description. You want to define the amount type. Should your customers define the amount type, or you want to set a fixed amount that, okay, if I'm sending this link to customers, if they want to pay me, they must pay with a specific amount. You can define that here. So that's also available. So for payment link, you can come here and click select, copy the URL. For instance, this guy. If I enter any information here, Chigozie, enter this guy. Let's say I want to pay it 12. So it will redirect me to the payment gateway. Now, this is specifically for just card payments, which is why it redirected me to this page. So had it been a card holder who wants to pay with card, this payment gateway only gives you flexibility for just payment by card. So you don't have flexibility for other options. Let me check for other options. Let me search. I have ones that can have that has several options that you can use. Okay, let me use this guy. Yeah. So this is the option. We have another payment gateway, another payment link tied to the gateway that has indicated the number of channels that will be visible for that particular gateway. So let's see what this one. Let's see this guy. It's redirecting me to the gateway now. These are the options that are available for this gateway now. Now, this is for those that are using payment link. There are certain merchants that want to integrate directly to the gateway because you don't want to use payment link. So you can also choose that route. We're coming to that route. This is the route of generating custom link that you can easily share with customers and they can pay you with any of the options available. So we have pay with cards, we have pay with transfer, we have pay with OP, we have pay with quick teller wallets, we have pay with QR, we have pay with USSD, we have pay with wallets. Inside pay with wallets, we have other options. We have OP and pockets. You can actually choose to pay with any of those options. We also have pay with Google Pay as well. All these options are available on the gateway. But remember, as I mentioned, you have to enable these options if you want them to be visible. So depend on what you've enabled from the quick teller business. That is what you will see on the gateway. All these ones that you can see are the ones that are available for that I've enabled for this particular gateway. That's why you can see all these options. So this is that part for payment link. Now, this is an easier way of sharing links to customers for them to pay you. Now, for those that want to integrate, you already have your website and you want to integrate directly to the gateway. So let's go to this guy. Now, I've already mentioned how we can generate these credentials and the gateway. I said when you're onboarded on QTB, there is default that gets generated, and you can come to the settings page, developer console. We have two options. You can use a test mode route, or you can use the live route if you are fully approved. Then you can choose to enable the live route to production. But if you want to be on test mode, you can actually switch to test mode. So this is live. Now for those that want to integrate directly to payment gateway. Now let's see the web checkout page, the web checkout. I've already explained all of this. Generation of integration credentials. You need to generate credentials for life, which I just explained some things, but I'll open it. So this is what I just explained. I just explained that because you need to log into QuickTeller Business. It has already been explained here, but I've already shown you the routes to go about it. So that's this part here. I've already explained all of those within here. So this is where I mentioned here, this guy, the settings that we spoke about. That's what's still available on the documents. So that's how you can get those credentials that you need. Okay, so let's go back. So we stopped here. Get integration credentials. It gets the merchant code, payable code, which is simple as the pay item ID, which I just explained. With the integration, you can have your client ID and secrets, then you're good to go. Then for the web checkout. So web checkout is an easy way to integrate your checkout feature from existing products. I mentioned payment link. You want to generate a link there. For cases where you want to integrate to existing products, you already have a website, and what you just need, maybe a sample, maybe a plug, so just a few lines of code that you can, a JavaScript code that you can easily plug into your website, and customers will view the page and they can start making payments. So you can still, this is the web checkout out. So why use it? Ease of integration, secure checkout experience, and all. You can have multiple payment options. So how do you integrate? We have test cards that you can use here. We have two routes. We have inline and web redirect. So the inline checkout for cases where you don't want this, where when the customer, you want the customer to view the payment gateway. You want the customer to complete payment without navigating away from your site. It'll still be on the page. So it doesn't go away. So let's say, for instance, okay. So redirect and pop-up, we have the options. So when you pay with pop-up, it doesn't redirect you to a different page. So you're still on that screen. That's what this guy is doing. So we have the option here. So that option is, this allows customer to complete payment without navigating away from your site. While web redirect takes you to the Interswitch payment gateway page. So that's this one here. So cancel the payments. So if I want to go to a redirect, if I click on this, it redirects it to the Interswitch payment gateway page. So this is the redirect option. Why the other one is the pop-up option in inline checkout. So that's the two options, inline and web redirect. Some merchants prefer the inline. So it doesn't show that it's more or less like it doesn't show that it's Interswitch that is really providing the payment gateway flexibility for you. Why the web redirect shows redirects to Interswitch page where you can see that, oh, this is powered by Interswitch. Now we have test card that you can use to test how this works. So you can come here, open a new tab. So you see some test cards. You can do test with the Verve card. We have Visa, MasterCard, and all. And we have different scenarios that you can test with. We have the one for success. We have the one for failure with timeouts. The one for failure insufficient. The one for failure no card records. So that way to allow you to test with different scenarios. Now, for inline checkouts, that's why I said it's easy to plug. You can see the JavaScript code here. This is where you just plug on your page and you're good to go. So with inline checkout, a widget will open in a pop-up, which is what I just explained, on your current page without the need for a redirect. This allows the customer to complete payment gateway without navigating away from your site. So with this guy, you're doing inline. So this is an example of how it works. We even have sample scripts that will aid you in the integration. So this is sample script that you can always copy and test out how it works. Declare the callback function for JavaScript is easy to use. Then this is a sample how it looks for the inline checkouts. So this is sample. Now, if you want to see the more code, you can go to this repository on GitHub. So it will give you more details that you need. Now, some parameters that you need to be aware of that you need to pass. So you're much more concerned about. Payment ID is known as the payable code. So that code is used as an identifier for your gateway. So you can have multiple gateways, meaning that gateway A can have only 3 options or channels that will be available to the customer during payments. Gateway B can have multiple. So this guy helps you to identify that. Well, I have a name that will be used for that. If someone wants to pay, the person will see that, okay, this is the name tied to the gateway. You have that. Then transaction reference. Today, before you pay, we auto-generate a reference, right? So that reference that will auto-generate will aid to tell that is a unique identifier for that transaction that is about to be carried out. So that's what this transaction reference is about. So we auto-generate it. Then when you auto-generate it, we send to you, you have it during payments. It's part of on the notification that gets sent to the customer's email. You see a reference, you also see like a channel ref. So let's see a sample of the ref how it looks. I think I've opened one before. Let's see. Okay, let me open this. So this is a sample ref, for instance. For tests, this is a sample reference that we generate today. So you need to pass in some information, the customer name of the customer, email, the mobile number if you have to, and some other information as well. If you're using redirect, you can pass in a redirect URL. Yeah. So cost email is the customer email. Cost ID this is not mandatory. So when you see false, it's not mandatory. So you may pass or you may not pass. Mobile number is not mandatory. Merchant code is as well not mandatory in this case. Site URL is not mandatory. Tokenized card. So for those that do recurring payments, this flag indicates whether you want to tokenize the card so that we can use subsequently for customers that do recurring payments. So flag to indicate you want the customer's card to be tokenized. The tokenized value will be returned whenever you require to confirm status of transaction. Uh, the access token, yes. So based on the credentials that will generate client ID and secret, you can use it to generate a token that you can use to call our authorization endpoints, we should call passport in this case. I will explain that in subsequent with some in the next session. The mode. Now I already showed you guys you can define the mode of test. Are we doing test or live? It's actually mandated because that tells us whether you're in test mode or live mode. Then there's a callback function that notifies when the transaction is good, transaction is complete, or the status of that transaction. So that's what I'll call complete. You need to indicate that. So that's this our sample that we have here. So it's easy to plug and you can test out. If you have challenges, you can let us know. So this is for the redirect leg where it takes to Interswitch page that shows it's powered by Interswitch. The user is navigated away from your site to the payment page after clicking the make payment button. So I think I've showed you guys that one. So What does it accept? This is a form. So when you pass this, it goes the name of the redirect URL. You define that. That's the name field. Site redirect URL, and you pass the actual value of the redirect. So it takes you to that page. That is other information normal for collecting form details. So for redirect, you see a sample page powered by Interswitch. The other guy, for the pop-up, the inline checkout. If you notice, you won't see the only time you see powered is when you scroll down. There is the pop-up, that's the inline. So it doesn't take you away from that page. So apparently this one. So this is the one for the redirect. Powered, so you specify the redirect URL. Based on the URL that is provided, it will take you to the page where you direct to a page where you can complete your payments. The customer can complete the payments, specify the options to complete payment. Now, for confirming transaction status, so you need to make a server-side request to get the status of the transaction. We have APIs that you can use to do that. So this is a sample API they can use to confirm the status of the transaction. So when the customer has already completed the transaction, at some point you need to tell that, oh, the current status of that transaction. You can do a call with this guy. This is a sample live URL. You can pass in the URL, copy this guy. You can call this guy. Then this guy will give you, based on the response, you see the status. So this is a sample response. And so the customer paid with this amount, paid for this for an item with this amount. So we already generate a merchant reference. Then this payment reference is the reference coming from, let's say, the issue of the transaction, let's say to the bank, because the transaction will go the way to the bank. So this is a reference that comes from upstream from the issuer. Then we have the retrieval reference number, so that gets generated too. Then for those that are doing splits, where you need to set to multiple accounts, you have that information too. But those are not doing splits. This is empty. Date of the transaction tells whether it was successful or not. The response description and the account number. That's for this one. And so this for then for you to see what the different response codes, the description for each of the different response codes, you can come here to view this. We have different response code and what they mean. So final response code 10 successful. You cannot retry them, means you cannot initiate a new transaction for them. So when you see 10, don't think that, oh, it wasn't successful. They want to trigger if we initiate the transaction. It will end up in duplicate payments to the customer. So you don't do that. They approve a financial institution, transaction in progress is pending, maybe it's being reviewed. So in most cases, it could be successful or not, or failed. But you don't need to retry them. Another response code that we have. We have different response codes. We have 51, 61, and the like. So it's something that you can go through to see what each of the response code describe. We have Z0 pending, meaning the customer started the transaction at some point. The customer perhaps did not complete or just left it halfway. So Z0 is just pending. Nothing has happened at that point. So we can confirm the status of that transaction. Okay, so that's that part for. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I've stopped at web checkouts. Do you have any questions or we can proceed?
Hey, Chigozie, I
Or have
think
I
there's
been?
one
Hmm,
in the
okay.
chat. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, there's one in the chat. Do you want us to take it
Let me
now
check the
or
chat.
after? Okay.
Okay, so there's a question on the chat. Hello, I just reviewed the API documentation on virtual card issuance. I wanted to clear. Okay, I've attended to this. Okay. Can the virtual cards issued to users via your platform support international transactions? Yes, but we have some specific international cards that will support for that. Yeah, we can do international transactions, yes. Specifically, these cards, Naira denominated and thus restricted by CBN FX policies. Yes, these are Naira denominated. We have for non-Naira denominated cards too. Do you offer dollar-backed virtual cards? I don't think so. I don't know what to. So, yeah, have I answered the question? Or do you want to back up that?
Yeah, we can hear you
Okay, you said
clearly.
thank you. Yeah. Yes, okay. Perfect. Okay, should we continue?
Yes, we can take one more and then go. Yeah.
Okay, so one more. So we've done checkout, web checkouts. So the next, the card payment API. So you want to accept card payments online in mobile apps. So before you do that, this is for merchants that are PCI DSS certified. So if you don't have that license to accept card payments, you cannot go this route because you can be flagged for fraud. So you can't collect payments when you don't have that license. So this is basically for those that are licensed to collect card payments. So the customer can, you have a website and customer tends to input card details and you can collect it from the back and store it, encrypt and do. It's for those that are licensed. You don't do this when you're not licensed. That's why I say you must have a license certificate to use the card payment API. If you're not licensed, you can't go this route. So this should be for those that are licensed. So to get started with card API, generate your token. You can click here to how to generate access token. So as I explained, you need your client ID and secret, which is back to what I explained initially during what I said. You need to generate client ID and secrets for quick teller business after you've onboarded and you want to generate a payment gateway. So you need that client ID. It gets generated automatically. It gets generated when you specify that you want to generate a payment gateway. So it will, with that client ID and secrets, you can make there's an endpoint that you call to then when you generate a token. So it's a client token that you can use for those that want to process card payments. So this is a sample in Java. After you've generated the client, you have the client ID and secrets. I think I showed you guys it, but let me show that again from developer console. Yeah, developer console. So we have something that works today. But this on you, it's about you guys the maximum. Okay, so you come here to generate the token. When you have your client ID and secrets, you concatenate using this guy to generate a basic for encoded string. After you're doing that, you have this guy encoded string. You can call this passport URL, specify the grant type as client credentials. When you make this call, it generates a token for you and the time it takes that token to expire. This is the sample response that you get. So it's a basic for encoded string. You pass in all passports, that's the URL, this is a UT URL. In the header, you pass in the authorization, the content type, which is form URL encoded, then the grant type client credentials. We have the one for user to app call, but this one is client to client call. After then, it generates a response for you, which is this sample response that you have. It shows the access token, the token type, which is BR, the time it takes for it to expire, the scope profile, the merchant code, and some other information that you need. Request the payable ID. That's the ID that's tied to the payable code. I remember I mentioned a payable code is what is used to tie to your gateway to help enable you identify your gateway. So when you have that to make call now, what you need to do is one of the endpoints to make call for purchases. This is a purchase endpoint. So you need to pass in that token that was generated, and this is the guide. So you already called passport to generate that token. After you called passport, you can now make the call using that token. Remember, this token, it takes this time for this guide to expire. It means that you might need to build like a catch on your own end to tell that if this guy expires in this time, I need to auto-generate, clear the cache and auto-generate a new token, means cause passport to auto-generate a new token. Else, this guy would have expired when you attempt to still make that call and it will be bouncing with unauthorized. So that can be done on your own end. Then we have the auth data that gets an encrypted data for the card information, the max span, the pin, the max span, the expiry, the CVV, and all that. We auto-generate and generate what's called the auth data. So if you want to make this call, I think you have these guys and you have this endpoint to look at it. This is for older systems. This is for older systems. I have to explain this for older systems. So these are for legacy apps. To use this endpoint for this, you need to send the following HTTP header requests for older ones. Okay, so there were not this for older, for those that are still signing to the older platform. Okay, so let's see. So these are the card payment APIs. These are the APIs that is available now. So this from here for the cards API, this is what we have. We have all the available cards API that can test with. Customer ID, amount, transaction reference required into when it's up to the transaction reference that you're passing. So what that means is before you send make that call, you're supposed to send us a ref to identify that transaction. So it goes here. Then the currency, the auth data encrypted, combination of sensitive data. As I mentioned, the PAM, the PIN, expiry date, CVV. You generate the auth data. We'll show you how to generate the auth data. Authorization, I already mentioned that you would have generated the token before making this call here. And what else? So response code, 200 bad request. We have other responses that you can expect. You can come here to try to see how that works. Then this for OTP authentication. So to authenticate an OTP sent to your mobile. So this is the API called purchases like OTP/auth. So when you want to make this call, these are the information you pass. We already have the payment ID that is by default. So this is the payment identifier that I would have generated from this guy. Versus. Let me see success response. Success response will give you the payment IDs, then the transaction reference, the message, this and this, and the plain text. That's a sample response. Means that from that response, you would have got, you have what's called the payment ID tied to that transaction. Now you want to authenticate or require you to send OTP. So before you start the transaction, we've already generated the transaction reference, the payment ID that you need to pass. Then by then you would have gotten, before you send, an OTP would have been generated, but I think we have to go, there's something we need to explain. OTP would have been generated for, I think it's for test, default to this guy. It defaults to this guy, one-time password sent to your mobile. The identifier required for 3D secure. This one is for Visa transactions, only for 3D secure. This one is for additional information for visa, e.g., electronic commerce indicator that will be required to that you need to pass the visa issue liability and all. There's some information that you pass. That's called the ECI flag. So you can go to and see some information that you need and you see a sample failure response. Yes, so to resend OTP, this is API to resend OTP. This to authorize transaction. OTPs are authorized for 3 days, majorly for this for visa transactions when you need to send in device information, additional information to proceed with that payment. That's for visa. So we have 3D secure. To tokenize card for recurring payments. So you want to tokenize the card. So subsequently, you don't need the card holder to pass in the card information before you can proceed to call this API to debit the card, to credit whoever the credits to for the customer to make the payments. So what that means is you can use a recurring payment. When the card gets tokenized, it means subsequent payment will pick the tokenized card. It's just like it's a encrypted form. Use that token, the token has been generated for that tokenized card to make payments until that card expires. That is when the customer provides a new card, we tokenize again and continue that process. So the customer doesn't need to input the card details and all to make any payments. We have for purchase occurrence for purchases. Some other information here. We have for transfer today we have dynamic transfer where we want to generate an account that the customer needs to pay for transfer. For every time, we have 2 types of time. We have static and dynamic. So for dynamic, anytime the customer wants to pay, a new account number gets generated. It's not like it's a one-off get generated. So for anytime the customer wants to pay, there's a new account that gets generated that the customer needs to do a transfer to that account. So that's dynamic. For static, it just the account number doesn't change. It's the same account I use from time to time. So we have dynamic and static transfers. To get details of transactions that have been processed, we call this API/v1/transactions. To get the status of the transaction, you need to pass in call this API. You have the sample request, you have samples here that you can use. So you pass the amount and the transaction reference. Okay, so that and the transaction reference. They also have a V2 for it to get transaction status, the status of a transaction, whether it was successful or not. We still have this guy too. And then today we also process refund too. So on QTB, on quick teller business, you can there are cases where a merchant, a customer has transacted for some reasons. Customer is no longer interested in that transaction. The customer wants refund. You can actually initiate refund. So on quick teller business, it's easier for you to come here and tell whether you want to refund that transaction or not. So there are some transactions you cannot refund. For this, you can see refund value cannot perform refund on this transaction. There are some that can be refunded. Let's see. Let me see. So these are transactions. This is the transaction menu. So we have a refund API that you can use to initiate refund for and also to initiate refunds on behalf of your customer. So this is the refund API. So you can call this guy to view refunds and to also initiate refunds. So create refunds. This is the API to call to create refunds. You can do partial or full refund. Partial. So if perhaps the customer has done a transaction of 1,000 and you realize that, oh, and the customer is insisting on refund, and you think that there's some, you don't need to give the customer full refund, but you want to do a partial, you can actually initiate a partial refund with this API. So all these APIs are for, it's something you can plug on your, maybe on your website, if you have your own custom website or custom onboarding platform that you want to use. But we already have, as I mentioned, we have it on Quick Teller Business, you can do all that here, because we have APIs that exist today. We have a platform for you to log in and do that. So for those that want to call the API, you have all the APIs available for you to play around with. So we'll have option to also pay with USSD. So today, if I want to do pay with USSD, I can also come here and specify pay with USSD as an option. And remember what I mentioned, like you have to enable this option, else it's not visible on the gateway. I come here, I can decide to pay. Okay, this one has expired. Okay. Let me try this guy. Select. Okay, so let's say with the on UAT. Okay, let me open that link. If you have any questions, you can still drop in the chats. Then we'll treat it. So I can select this guy, copy this link.
Okay, you know what? Oh, that's fine. Let's talk about fine. What things are not sharing? So, with yes. If they are market, but
So if you want to pay with USSD, select the option. So the API that does this is available. So you select the bank. You want to select any of the banks that you want to pay with. It generates that unique. You can pay with this guy with ease. The customer will just pick up this, the entire generated URL, the entire generated reference, and dial it on his phone, and you're good to go. So API that does that, we'll have it available here. USSD, you can see the API that does that. So for sample, successful response. Okay, well, it's not full here, but one first I'll show you. For failure, it wasn't. Okay, we're going to add this guy. I think it's missed out. There's an object actually. There's an object. So this is sample request. Merchant code, the amount, the merchant code, the surcharge. If there's an additional charge that will be tied to that transaction, you put it as a surcharge. The currency code and the merchant transaction reference. This merchant transaction reference is a reference that the merchant is sending to us so that they can use it to query that transaction. So we can keep this guy. This is a merchant transaction reference. The one that is our own transaction reference is the one that we generate. So two different. We have merchant reference. And so I pass this guy. So I use this reference to send us, maybe you want to query to validate some transactions with your own ref, or the one that we initiate, we generate and send to you. So you can do this guy. We have QR too. API that are ready for QR. So we have options to pay with QR. We have for virtual account transfer too. We have options. We have APIs that will do that. Merchant could pay with currency amounts on. I think we have lots of APIs that we can play around with. I think there are lots. So maybe we can just take it step by step. Maybe in our next session we can discuss more of them. So I think that's that. So what we have, I think we still later on discuss.
yeah,
We'll start at card payments. Right. Yeah, we'll start at card payments. Okay. I think that's that. I don't know if you have any questions to ask or you want to contribute or say something. The floor is open. Choose your own.
And we have not started.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so much, Chigozie. In short, everyone on this call. I mean, we were supposed to have another facilitator and some last minute fallouts, and Chigozie stepped in. So thank you so much for stepping in despite the very, very short notice. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions before Chigozie leaves us? Any questions at all? You can raise your hands, and if you prefer to speak, and I'll give you access to speak. If you prefer to drop it in the chat, please do. We just have about 3 minutes for that because we're way past our time. But while we're waiting for questions, just some things to note. If you're joining our community events for the first time, this is just to let you know that this is our office hours, and we'll be having another one in June. And if Chigozie is kind and gracious enough and free, I will be pulling him and one of my colleagues in again for that. And for that one also, it is going to be super hands-on. We're going to be having some of the people from our implementation team also join that call. I've also pulled a link to our developer tools in the chat and it's pinned, so you can simply click on it. Try out one or two things from this session. If you get stuck or if something is not clear to you, which shouldn't be the case because everything we have from documentation to the rest is super clear and integration shouldn't be hard for you. But peradventure, if you run into any issues, please reach out to us on Slack. You can simply use the help channel and we'll be more than happy to help you resolve it. And I don't think anybody else has questions. I see that my colleague Abel is on this call. Thank you so much, Abel, for joining in. Abel also joined in case we needed him to step in at one point or the other. Nobody is asking any questions, so I'll take it that Chigozie did a very, very good and fine job. Okay, so I
Are
can
you
let
sure we
my
are all
colleague.
good? Are you sure we are all good? No questions.
I think we are. Any question? Yeah. So sometimes I might just get like emails after, or sometimes I might get Slack DMs. So if that is the case, I'll always forward to the team and they will get in touch with you. But honestly, we try not to do that. That's why we organize sessions like this. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Actually, we can take some other time to just help you sort it out while on this call. But in the absence of any question, I think we'll call it a day or an evening and then just prepare for the weekend and the week ahead. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much, Chigozie.
Yeah,
You
thanks so
made
much,
it work
guys.
well. Yes,
Thanks so much,
yes.
guys.
Thanks, Abel.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Recording. Yeah. Thank you, Chigozie. Bolaji, yes, I am going to share this with you. So that will be shared on Monday. I'm going to share it with you on Saturday. So if you haven't joined our community, you should, because that is where we mostly share all of this. But yeah, you are definitely going to get it. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for making our time to join these calls each and every time. It won't be possible without everyone here joining. Thank you for making our time, for sharing the invite, for spreading the word, for responding enthusiastically on Slack. Thank you so much. And we'll meet again very soon. Have an amazing evening and an amazing weekend too. I was looking for, I think it's an adjective to qualify that, but have an amazing weekend. And once again, the link to our developer tools is in the chat and it's pinned. So you can always access it even right after this meeting. But the best time to practice is simply to just play around, see what you can do from what you learned from this session immediately before ends. And should you have any questions or run into any issues, please just email me or respond on Slack, and I'll be more than happy, or DM me on Slack rather, and I'll be more than happy to respond. You can also use the help channel, and other community members will be more than happy to help you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you again, Chigozie. I am
Yeah,
really
thanks
grateful.
everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, April. Thank you too. And
There's an
goodbye for now.
I just found out.
Bye.